Yes, cocaine was found at the White House. Please don't ask any questions. We definitely do not know who it belongs to. Also in the news, we have the White House unveiling a plan to fight back against a new horse tranquilizer called the zombie drug. But I don't think that this is going to work out fairly for them, considering the situation that they put themselves in over at the White House. All of that and more on today's episode.
Facts over tracks, this and that, spitting slow, spitting fast, I could roast, I could gas, think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past.
Just imagine this for a second. You are a degenerate, a typical irresponsible party person. You spend the whole entire night going out and partying it up. You do a lot of drinking, you smell a lot of coke, then when it comes to the morning, you get up late in the afternoon, have sex with hookers, and repeat the same exact events from the day prior. Does that sound like a person that you would be proud of? No, I don't think so. But that's the sad reality of the president's son, Hunter, or it used to be. Joe Biden said that Hunter was the brightest person that he knows. But does he know what Hunter Biden is really up to? I would like to give Joe Biden the benefit of the doubt, but I don't think that we can in this situation, and here's why. Firstly, what did Joe Biden do or try to do to help his son during this time of addiction? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. He sat there and he enabled it. Joe Biden didn't only let him use the Biden name to make millions of dollars for himself, but most importantly, Joe Biden. It turns out that one of the hookers Hunter slept with was pregnant, and the DNA test came back positive for Hunter Biden being the father. Surely, Joe Biden would change his tune now after the DNA test comes back positive, right? Right? Spoiler alert, it doesn't. When it comes to the Biden family being interested in this new family member, a peanut cracker would get more attention than the family. They then get a judge to block the baby from having the Biden last name. Not only that, but instead of Joe Biden welcoming his new baby with welcoming arms, he chooses to ignore its existence altogether. So much for the loving uncle persona, Joe Biden. It's a disgrace of a situation for the United States, but ultimately for us to be represented by a family that disgraces members of their family based on whether it would be political or literally beneficial for them to do so. And that has sold out written all over it. They not only sold out to the big Russian energy companies, but even Joe Biden says that he fired people using his position as VP and senator. But most importantly, he sold out the American people by deceiving us, by telling us the lie that he stands up for the rules and norms Americans would hold for centuries. And just a little cherry on top, Hunter has been paying the mom and his son $50,000 a month for child support. But all of a sudden, Hunter Biden makes a plea deal with the courts and said that in exchange for the money that he would pay, he would rather just give her and his son one of his oil finger paintings that he sells to shady businessmen for millions of dollars each. With all of that being said, it's not even scratching the surface of what kind of person Hunter Biden really is. You can look up all of the pictures that were released from his not only laptop but his phone. But I urge you to have a bleach bottle ready for your eyes before you access the website, BidenLaptopMedia.com. And once again, there are just dangerous pictures of Hunter, like this one of him going 180 miles per hour. There is a lot worse than that, so that's just scratching the surface. Like him doing drugs on Hooker's butt. Yes, it's disgusting. Anyways, let's dig into the headlines of the week. So starting off, we actually have this article from Sky News. Now, Sky News actually does some really good journalism. So I don't know if you actually saw but they actually have a YouTube channel here on YouTube, and they really do post some really good journalism. So I'm kind of jealous of their ability to actually have journalism in their country, because here in the United States, we do not have really good journalism. If we go in and try to have journalism like we do try to have on this show, or we have actual journalism like people asking questions, just like Matt Walsh did in What is a Woman, we have the media out crying, we have the media saying, oh, you're terrorizing people. No, we're just doing journalism, and we're just asking people questions. Now, if you do not like the questions we're asking, then simply don't answer the question. It's just that easy. Now, this Sky News article is titled "How an Alarming Rise in Deaths Linked to Zombie Drug Trank Made Biden's White House Act." Now, I really doubt that Joe Biden has the ability to actually perform on this, knowing what we know now about the crack cocaine finding in the White House. So, if we really expect him to keep drugs out of America's borders, then why didn't he keep drugs out of the White House himself? He didn't. Because his ability to keep drugs out of any lockdown situation going on is close to none. He does not know how to do any of this, so I have no expectation that he's actually going to follow through on this. But let's continue on. Sometimes mixed with fentanyl, Exine, often referred to as Trank, has spread across the United States at an alarming speed and has devastated communities there. Biden's White House has declared it a quote, grave threat. In May, the first death linked to the drug was announced in the United Kingdom. New figures showing a shocking rise in deaths on United States streets linked to a drug which rots the skin of those who use it. Exine, often referred to as Trank or the zombie drug, has spread across America at such alarming speed that the White House has now released a new 6-point action plan to tackle the crisis. Now, I really doubt, like I said, I doubt their ability to actually continue on this 6-point process because, or the action plan here, because the action plan of the White House is actually to control drugs and people in the White House, and they have no ability to do so on that front. So what do we think that they have the ability to do this in this front? None. They don't have any ability to do any of this whatsoever, so I have no expectation that they're going to follow through on this, like I said. Moving forward, the drug and animal tranquilizer is increasingly mixed or cut by drug dealers into supplies of fentanyl, which itself is already killing over 100,000 Americans every single year. Now, that's devastating because of the fact that fentanyl, even a little smidge of fentanyl, is enough to kill somebody. A little, on the pencils that we used to use on SATs, like the number 2 pencil, that little tip of that pencil worth of fentanyl is enough to kill anybody. So the fact that we have a fentanyl itself killing 100,000 Americans every single year, and we're not putting any plans to good use to actually prevent this. And this is actually according to data from 20 United States and the District of Columbia. The monthly percentage of fentanyl-associated deaths where Exine was detected has increased from 2.9% to a 10.9%, a jump of 276%. Revealing the new figures and announcing the action plan, Dr. Rahul Gupta, the White House Director of National Drug Control Policy, said this administration recognizes the grave threat that fentanyl combined with Exine presents to our nation. The latest numbers are stark. Shocking, and suggests that the skin-rotting animal tranquilizer is now firmly established in America's drug market. In the 12 months ending in January, 109,000 Americans died from a drug overdose. Nearly 7 in 10 of those deaths were attributed to systematic opioids like fentanyl, and a growing number were linked to Exine. The Drug Enforcement Agency, the DEA, has seized Exine fentanyl mixtures in 48 of the 50 states. And according to the DEA, has seized. Okay, I did that. And according to the DEA laboratories, in 2022, 23% of fentanyl powder and 7% of fentanyl tablets contained Exine. Spilling out the scale of the crisis, Dr. Gupta said, quote, "As a physician, I've never seen one this bad at this scale. I visited the wound care clinic in Kingston neighborhood of Pennsylvania, one of the hardest hit counties in the nation." He added, Quote, so what I want everyone to understand is this. If we thought fentanyl was dangerous, fentanyl combined with xyline is even deadlier. And I completely agree because even if we look at the streets of Philadelphia, which in March, according to Sky News, is the is at the scale of the xyline crisis in the northern eastern city, and where this drug cocktailed first, emerged with a report that exposed the true cost of America's evolving drug challenge. On block after block in the Kingston district, we saw people suffering from addiction who were increasingly finding their opioid supply was being cut by dealers with xyline. We saw the open wounds, the rotting skin, and the volunteer outreach workers overwhelmed by the scale of the challenge. Speaking to Sky News, 4 months since we visited, one of the volunteers we met said that the situation is much worse now. Quote, the hospitals can't keep patients comfortable because of their addiction to keep them long enough to get the wounds under control, Ronnie Kaiser told me. When the wounds caused by the xyline get to a certain stage, the user may either admit themselves to the hospital or be taken to the hospital, but the urge for another hit will often be greater than the recognition that the wounds need to be treated. It is a cruel and vicious cycle of addiction. Quote, there's always new people, and sadly some we've seen for years, and of course those that have passed, Ronnie said. The White House's 6-point plan. So let's see. According to Neera Tansen, the domestic policy advisor at the White House, the new 6-point plan seeks to, quote, aggressively expand across to prevention, harm reduction, treatment, and recovery support for those with substance use disorders, and take bold actions to disrupt the supply of illicit drugs, especially fentanyl, that is harming communities all across the country. The plan, released on Tuesday, focuses on 6 pillars of action: testing, data collection, evidence-based prevention, harm reduction, treatment, supply reduction, scheduling, categorizing the drug and research. The White House's drug policy director, Dr. Gupta, said, quote, we're calling on Congress to fully fund President Biden's historic $46.1 billion budget. Okay, why do you need this much money? This is a lot of money. Yes, $46 billion. But is this truly going to fix the root cause of the situation? No, it's not. You know why? Because Biden is not hard on the drug cartels. He's not hard on any cartels. That's exactly why they hate the sound of freedom so very much. Because of the fact that they do not care about any cartels. Cartels to steal children, cartels to steal drugs or sell drugs. They don't care. This budget request for a national drug control programs, including key funding to address illicit fentanyl and emerging threats like xyline. The reaction on the streets. Ronnie, who runs the Philadelphia-based charity Angels in Motion, welcomed the fact that the federal government was finally recognizing the scale of the crisis. Perhaps awareness is there now. It's good that solutions are being looked at, she said. But she questioned the practicalities of the proposals. Quote, test strips? Why? Do they think that the dealer will take the bag of drugs back if it comes up positive? No, they won't, because they wasted the money on it. Quote, we need help with prevention, harm reduction, rehab, and recovery houses. These should be an absolute solution now, she said. Those of us on the ground know that these are the things needed. Unfortunately, I think funding goes to certain people, not so much to the boots on the ground. She pointed to the perennial American problem of medical insurance in the, quote, for-profit medical facilities. Even those living on the streets and suffering from addiction are required to navigate the country's complex healthcare system if they stand a real chance at recovery. Quote, we need federal rehabs, federal recovery houses, the ability for larger rehab stays, and, differently, all insurances to be accepted at all rehabs, she said. Quote, that's what we need so that all, quote, for-profit places go away. There are recovery houses that are so bad, throwing people out because they can't find a job to pay fast enough. Too late for America. In February, Philadelphia's substance use prevention and harm reduction chief, Dr. Andrew Best, warned that cities across America should brace for exile and called on the federal government to do more. Quote, right now, there is no state of federal funding available, he told Sky News. Quote, I don't want this to spread to other cities. The new data shows that it's too late, and in May, the first United Kingdom death linked to exile was announced. The Biden administration has also announced plans to disrupt the supply of both fentanyl and exile into the country. The processor products came from China and most likely converted to tablet or powder from the cartels in Mexico, and as Sky News exposed earlier this year. The fear now, given the ever-growing supply of xyline adulterated fentanyl, is that it will infiltrate other sectors of society. In May, Sky News saw how small town communities were struggling with accidental fentanyl overdoses by children in schools. Okay, so this is the worst part about it because of the fact that this is going to be impacting students in schools. Not only that, but we had the first death in the United Kingdom, but also the fact that this is coming from China. And of course, Joe Biden loves Xi Jinping, so nothing exactly will happen. And of course, this is going to happen in Mexico. So it's coming from China to Mexico, from Mexico to the United States. And then to the United States it goes, and then to the United Kingdom and elsewhere. Because people in America want to sell the drugs that they got from those people off to other people to make more money, more money, and more money. And soon enough, we have millions and millions of dollars, which is disgusting because it's all dirty money. So, of course, the Biden administration will do nothing at all. I do not expect them to do anything at all, and you guys should not either, because if you hold your breath, you will be holding it for so long that your face will turn purple and you will pass away. Now, moving into the next article, we actually have a Reuters article. We have TikTok crackdown bill may need some changes, the United States senator says. United States lawmakers are considering changes to address concerns about a bill that would give the Biden administration new powers to ban Chinese-owned TikTok. The chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, who has conspired the legislation, said on Monday. The Democratic Senator Mark Warner told Reuters that aggressive lobbying by the ByteDance-owned short video app, TikTok, against the Restrict Act, quote, slowed a bit of our momentum after it was introduced in March. Warner said lawmakers have a proposal on a series of amendments to make it explicitly clear and address criticisms, including the individual Americans could be impacted by, or that the bill represents a broad expansion of government power. We can take care of those concerns in a fair way, Warner said. The legislation endorsed by the White House would grant the Commerce Department new authority to review it, block, and address a range of transactions, including foreign information and communications technology that pose national security threats. Quote, I will grant TikTok this. They spent $100 million in lobbying and slowed a bit of our momentum, Warner said, adding that initially it seemed like it would almost be too easy to get the bill approved. TikTok did not immediately respond to requests for comment on Warner's assessment of its lobbying. In March, Republican Senator Rand Paul blocked a bid to fast-track a separate bill to ban TikTok introduced by Senator Josh Hawley, who said that the Restrict Act doesn't ban TikTok. It gives the president a whole bunch of new authority. The Biden administration in March demanded TikTok's Chinese owners divest their stakes or face a United States ban attempt. In 2020, by then President Donald Trump to ban TikTok were blocked by United States courts. Warner said that a lot of conversations about the bill, adding that it could be attached to an annual defense bill or it could be part of a China-related bill, and that Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer wants. The need for legislation is clear, he said. Quote, there has been another 3 or 4 apps that have come out that are Chinese controlled, so we need fair rules-based practice. So we need a fair rules-based process to deal with this rather kind of one-off rather than an one-off basis, Warner said. TikTok, which is used by more than 150 million Americans, says that it had spent more than $1.5 billion in rigorous data security efforts and rejects spying allegations. The company is fighting a ban by the state of Montana to set effect on January 1st. The judge has scheduled an October 12th hearing on TikTok's request. And I completely agree. I just disagree with a couple points here saying that TikTok actually cares about our privacy. No, what they can say is yes. Oh, we're investing in security. We're investing in our hard drives and we're going to keep stuff here in America. But if my boss over here, Xi Jinping, wants your IP address or your face scan that they do when you're using the filters on the app, or any other information relating to you, the American citizen, then we're going to just fork that over to Xi Jinping, my best friend over here, because if I don't, then I will be killed. But, we're not going to talk about that. Moving on to the next segment of the Demetrius Rizzo Show, we actually have the media's takes.
No, I'm not a writer.
Okay.
Okay, so starting off, we actually have a CNN article. We have Collins presses GOP senator about his white nationalist comments. Now, this is a CNN article. As you guys can tell right here. He didn't figure out what she was trying to do until it was too late for him. I saw this clip already. Let's react to it. So I think that he hears her wrong in this clip and thinks that she said Christianity instead of white nationalism or Christian nationalism.
I do want to give you a chance to clarify some comments you made recently on white nationalists serving in the military. For those who are watching, if they haven't heard your remarks, this is what you said.
Do you believe they should allow white nationalists in the military?
Well, they call them that. I call them Americans.
Do you want to explain those comments, Senator?
Yeah, first of all, I'm totally against any type of racism, okay? I was a football coach for 40 years, and I dealt and had opportunity to be around more minorities than anybody up here on this hill. But when our military was being attacked after 9/11, after January the 6th, and that was my first day on the Senate floor, I thought it was outrageous of what senators from the Democratic side, Chuck Schumer said on the floor that night, calling people racist, calling people nationalists, white nationalists. White nationalists is just another word that they want to use other than racism. I'm totally against anything to do with racism. But the thing about being a white nationalist is just a cover word for the Democrats now, where they can use it to try to make people mad across the country, identity politics. I'm totally against that. But I'm for the American people. I'm for military. I'm for Christian conservatives, Democrats, whoever wants to be in the military to fight for this country, to protect this country. That's what it's all about.
But just to be clear, you agree that white nationalists should not be serving in the U.S. military. Is that what you're saying?
If people think that a white nationalist is a racist, I agree with that. I agree they should.
A white nationalist is someone who believes that the white race is superior to other races.
Well, that's some people's opinion. And I don't think,
That's not
a lot.
opinion.
Pardon?
What's your opinion?
My opinion of a white nationalist, if somebody wants to call him white nationalist, to me is an American. It's an American. Now, if that white nationalist is a racist, I'm totally against anything that they want to do, because I am 110% against racism. But I want somebody that's in our military, that's strong, that believes in this country, that's an American, that will fight along anybody, whether it's a man or woman, black or white, red, it doesn't make any difference. And so I'm totally against identity politics. I think it's ruining this country, and I think that Democrats ought to be ashamed for how they're doing this, because it's dividing this country and it's making this country weaker every day.
But that's not identity politics. You said a white nationalist is an American.
It is identity politics.
You said a white nationalist is an American, but a white nationalist is someone who believes horrific things. Do you really think that's someone who should be serving in the military?
Well, that's just a name that it's been given. I mean,
it's not. It's a real definition. There's real concerns about extremism.
So if you're going to do away with most white people in this country out of the military, we got huge problems. We got huge problems.
It's not people who are white. It's white nationalists
that have a few probably different beliefs.
Right?
That have different beliefs. Now, if racism is one of those beliefs, I'm totally against it. I am totally against racism. But
that
there's
is
a lot
that
of
is a
people
white,
that
a
believe
white
in different
nationalist
things.
is racist, Senator.
Well, that's your opinion. That's your opinion. But if
not
it's
an opinion.
racism, I'm totally against it. I am totally against any type of race or any type of racism. I don't care what it's in.
Okay, so the thing is that they cut off that clip a little bit at the bottom or the end of it. So this is the thing. He should have just admitted after the fact, listen, I misheard you. This is what I think. Black nationalism, white nationalism, Latino nationalism, any nationalism that does not accept another race is racist. So just like that, he should have just said, listen, I misunderstood you. This is exactly what I mean by it. So of course, white nationalism is racist. We should not have white nationalists, black nationalists, Latino nationalists, Asian nationalists in the military because now you're going to be targeting people based on race. We cannot have this in our military. It's very easy. He made a mistake because he misheard somebody, and now every single Republican has to go and stand up for this one Republican that made a little mistake. That's why Chuck Schumer had to come out and say, oh, no, I condemn his statement and stuff like that. Listen, if Democrats make a really bad move and they say something that obviously not all Democrats agree with, they're not forced and pressured into responding to what that one person said. No, what they're doing is they're giving the benefit of the doubt to Democrats, but not giving the benefit of the doubt to Republicans. Wow, whoa, wait a second. We already know this, okay? We're not dumb. We already know what they're trying to do. This is just the same exact story over and over again, just with a different person as the front man, okay? It is just so easy to understand already what they're trying to do. Moving into the next article, we actually have an MSNBC article. We have on LGBTQ issues, my fellow Muslims should balance faith with solidarity. Okay, so when you want one thing, okay, and your religion says that it's wrong to do that one thing, then you're going to trust your religion. If you go to mosque as a Muslim and your mosque told you that no, this is against your religion to support, then you need to support. I mean, you need to not support it because then you would be going against your religion. But if you want your child to learn a certain thing and not learn a certain thing, like gay sex in schools, then you're a bad person. That just does not make any sense. So let's just see what they mean by this. As the Muslim American community grows in size of political activity, we can expect to see members of that community follow along with a wide spectrum of political views. Last month, the All-Muslim Nonpartisan Council in Hamtramck, Michigan, which also has a Muslim mayor, opted to remove a pride flag from public grounds, fulfilling a campaign promise that the mayor made last year when he ran to office. According to a Washington Post story published on Wednesday, Muslims and some of Ethiopian Orthodox Christians in Maryland have called the school system there to restore an opt-out provision that allowed parents to withdraw their children from class whenever a particular day's lessons included books featuring LGBTQRSTUVWXYZ characters. Those two stories have helped intensify an ongoing debate over whether some Muslim Americans are signing on to the GOP's anti-LGBTQRSTUVWXYG agenda. See, this is exactly what the LGBT LMNOP group want you to actually understand here, is that alphabets can just go whenever they want. You can put G last in the alphabet. Why not? You put Z first and G last and S second. The number one last. And knowingly trafficking in anti-LGBTQRSTVWXYZ bigotry for political gain. In other words, they're teaming up with the same conservatives who have demonized our communities. Okay, so what are you talking about? Because Elad Omar, the last time I checked, was a Democrat. That's the person that's anti-Semitic. That's the person that you're looking for, not Republicans. Republicans, more broadly, are not anti-Semitic. No, they're not. That's Elad Omar that is repeatedly made anti-Semitic statements, but they don't care about it. They only care about it when it comes to Kanye West. They only care about it when it comes to him. Some people with a different interpretation of what's happening have gone so far as to strip Muslims of their agency and claim that they are being used as puppets for the right. Not surprisingly, the condescending characterization has caused some Muslim leaders to push back. The Muslim American community is now estimated to be about 4 million people, and as it grows in size, the political activity, we can expect to see Muslims follow along with a wide spectrum of political views. Reps Elad Omar, Democrat from Michigan, Rashida Tlaib, and Attorney General Keith Ellison, a staunch Bernie Sanders ally, have become the most visible forces of Muslim political activism in our nation. The young Muslim Americans I have met who are active in politics are, like me, on the progressive side of the political spectrum. Yeah, so that's not good because you're persuading people to have a rotten worldview that is just not based in reality. But what we Muslims and the rest of the nation must understand is that, as in other faith groups, there are moderate and conservative Muslims. If not serving in elected office, then definitely in the voting booth. According to the Associated Press in 2020, exit polls during the year's presidential election found that 35% of Muslims voted for Donald Trump, while 64% voted for Joe Biden. That 35% strikes me as high. Okay, strikes you as high. And who are you? Just because 35% of a certain race voted for a certain person, it strikes you as high? No, I said that the 64% that voted for Sleepy Joe is unreasonably high. This is exactly knowing the same exact thing that dead people voted in our election, just as they do every single year, but more commonly this year, just like how they switched some voter laws right before the election, so then we could go and see a little bit of a changing in our voting rules and regulations so a certain person can get elected more easily. Now, moving on with this article, I recently spoke with Omar on my Sirius XM show about Hamtramck banning the pride flag. Omar began by saying that she will always defend people who are mocked for their religious beliefs, but she added that as a marginalized community, we Muslims cannot punch down by joining the hate directed against other marginalized communities, referring to the LGBTQRSTUVWXYZ community. She said correctly, solidarity for us has been life-saving, and that solidarity needs to exist for others whose lives need to be protected. Okay, so first of all, every life needs to be protected. Second of all, don't you think that the LGBTQRSTVWXYZ community already has enough protecting when they have every single person from the mainstream media to the elites in Hollywood, from the billionaires to the millionaires, every single person on earth that's in the mainstream media right now, not even just them, but the mainstream Hollywood, everything that I just said is on the LGBTQRSTVWXYZ side. So what marginalization does the LGBTQRSTVWXYZ community actually have? That's what I'm asking here. What marginalization when they have the whole entire world agreeing with them? Doesn't make any sense here. But leaders in the Hamtramck have shown little interest in the solidarity that Omar says it's important to maintain. We need to look at Elad Omar for solidarity with other people. We need to look at her for the example. No, you're not a good example at all. In a response that illustrated the political divide in the Muslim community, Tlaib slammed the decision made by Hamtramck officials. According to the Detroit Free Press, she said, "I can't imagine how it feels for our LGBTQRSTVWXYZ neighbors in Hamtramck to watch their own elected reps decide their existence. Doesn't matter," she added. "This is painful to see in a city that has always fought for equal justice for all. This action divides our communities." Mayor Amar Jalib later released a statement addressed to politicians who don't understand the situation in Hamtramck, but he said, release statements to criticize us. He said, those politicians do not know our city more than we do, and you do not know the consequences of opening the door to every group to fly their flag on city properties. Our residents are all equally important to us, and we will continue to serve them equally, without discrimination, favoritism, or performatism treatment to any group. The city government will stay neutral and impartial toward its residents. Okay, so First of all, no, you do not have the right to put up a gay flag in school. You do not have the right to hang up a gay flag in the mayor's office. You do not have the right to hang up any gay flag or any flag at all in any public offices. Because you know why? Because that's a public office and you need to stay neutral. So what exactly are you saying that is neutral? Because that depends on the definition of that depends on the situation at hand. Because if you think that neutral is defending the right to put up any flag that you want on a public property, then that's not neutral at all. That's obviously politicizing the event and actually picking a side in that event, enforcing your side because you think that it's better overall. It's not. But with that being said, we're going to skip this article and we're going to end off this episode here. If you did like this episode, please like and subscribe down below because I do post new episodes of the show every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thank you all for watching, and I hope that you have a great rest of your day.